Everyone knows that feeling, wanting to experience more stories, but struggling to find the time. That's where Audible changes everything. With over 1 million audiobooks and Audible originals, there's a story waiting to spark anyone's imagination. Take The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, the gripping psychological thriller that's keeping listeners on the edge of their seats. Imagine unraveling its mysteries during your morning commute, or losing yourself in its twists and turns while doing household chores. That's the magic of Audible. It transforms daily routines into opportunities for thrilling discoveries. The best part? Members get access to thousands of included titles, with new content added regularly. From bestsellers to hidden gems, every genre imaginable is at their fingertips. And with one easy-to-use app, switching between favorites or discovering new passions has never been simpler. There's more to imagine when you listen. Start a free 30-day Audible trial and get your first audiobook free at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Now it's time for Inspirational Women and my guest, Corinne Cavanaugh, a local author with wonderful dreams and who is quite practical in making them become a reality. One of these dreams is to have us engage in open, honest, and respectful conversations that will help us be all that we are certainly capable of being. Let's meet Corinne to delve into this idea. Corinne Cavanaugh, good morning. Thank you so greatly for being with us today.
Oh, thank you, Kate. It's my pleasure.
Well, this was definitely a fun and interesting read. First of all, the word audacious, an audacious woman. When I first saw that, that really captured my interest. And I have to say, it just didn't disappoint at all multiple times. So thank you for this very interesting read.
Well, you're welcome. I hope other people think the same. I love this audacious woman, the female protagonist. She's this cheeky 85-year-old woman, and she came to me in a dream. And it was I just thought I have to write her.
That's an interesting thing. I get curious as to what the inspiration is, and I love the fact that this was a dream. So do you know why that dream even happened?
I have no idea. I've had wild dreams my whole life, and most of the time it's just like, oh, that was weird. But, that particular morning I woke up and thought, oh, well, that's a fascinating character. This 85-year-old woman in New York City. She inherited this gorgeous Gilded Age mansion. And, these days we're, watching Bridgerton and the Gilded Age. And so it's just beautiful, these old homes. And I thought, well, what if, she was modern day? And it felt like in my dream that she was a modern day woman, older woman. I thought this could be really something. And so I sort of went to the drawing board.
And so you go to the drawing board. How long a process was it then to write the book?
Well, when I first thought, okay, I'm going to write this thing, I didn't want to just write a novel, although I would love to. I kind of wanted to find my why. Why do I want to write this novel? Yes, it's going to be something fun and quirky, the type of thing that I would love to read and share with my book club. But, what's my why? So that took me a while to think about. And eventually I sort of came around to the idea of, wouldn't it be interesting if, there were different types of characters with different beliefs and they could sort of dialogue throughout the book and learn about her past experiences and talk about it in a cordial setting. So that's what I came to. I really hope that people can see that, yeah, they're talking about controversial topics, but they're being cordial and polite about it. And isn't that something our society should be doing more often? So, yeah, that's sort of my why. But the talk about the timeline, I figured out my why, and that took me a good couple of months of thinking about it. And then I learned, I thought, well, I have to learn how to really write a fiction novel. I don't know this. So I actually got a subscription to an online learning platform, Masterclass, and I listened to all of Margaret Atwood's advice and all of James Patterson's advice about how to write a novel. And I took it very seriously, sort of became a student of the greats. And I did, just what they suggested. I started with my outline and kind of went from there.
I did not expect that. And it's fascinating. there's just so much in what you've just shared in terms of having a dream, a waking dream of what you want to do. I want to write a book. How do I go about this? You find a platform. I mean, to have that so accessible to us these days.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's not like I have had to have gone to school for ages or no,
Right.
You have it right there at your fingertips.
Yeah, I mean that's what's amazing about everything being online now. Anybody can learn anything. They really can if they're dedicated and take the time to do it. Yeah, and why not learn from the greats? I mean, they're all out there giving their advice, and of course, it piques your interest when they're talking about the books that they wrote. You want to go back and read them, but yeah, it was a great experience learning like that.
Yeah. I just love that because I think in the process of then we want to be talking about An Audacious Woman, about the book and the story and such, but also the backstory of what you've done in your life. And, taking this approach, I think can be then an inspiration for us. And, we perhaps have had a dream. What should I learn? And to go about that. That's great.
Yeah, and I think the hunger for learning is really something.
Yes.
It's something so important. And when I was a teenager, I think I was 12 or 13, I came home from school and I saw my dad sitting on the couch reading a book on, the next programming language. I think it was C++ or something. And I said, "You hate reading. Why are you reading?" And he said, "Well, I have to do this to stay relevant. Otherwise, I can't continue in my career." And sort of a light bulb went up. It was just the right age for me to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, okay. You have to keep learning to stay relevant.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another wonderful life lesson. And it happens kind of organically. It's what your dad said. You could have just, too often, I think these days you might have, you could have at any age, I guess, have a teenager who just says, whatever.
Oh, totally. And I was that teenager plenty of times. I have no idea why that one stuck, but it did. And I thought, oh, okay, can't just go to college and be done with it. You really do have to keep learning to stay relevant. And now, I've had a 20-year career in marketing, and my first business was a social media firm. And so talk about having to learn and relearn and relearn and relearn. I mean, these platforms are changing constantly.
Yes.
So that advice has served me well. So when it came to writing An Audacious Woman, I thought, okay, I've got to learn how to really do this. I've done different types of writing, academic writing or, marketing writing, copywriting. Not the same. Not at all the same.
No. And you wrote the book because we have the book club discussion questions at the end, which is always so much fun. But that was really your focus. Not that we have to do it as a book club, but I think it's great for a book club idea.
Oh, I love the book club setting because it's really a comfortable atmosphere to talk about topics that come up in this book. You're with a close group of friends, presumably, and it gives you an excuse sort of to talk about some of the topics and themes, whether it's gender roles or different types of things you go through at different ages or, race issues. It's a pleasant setting for that. And I think it makes people comfortable.
It does. And you don't have to force it. You can do it within the context of a story. So in that way, let's call it kind of safe to do that.
Exactly. It's by nature non-confrontational. Because you're talking about fictional characters. So who can get too upset about that? I mean, they're just fictional characters at the end of the day. So it can be a fun thing to debate. Oh, they thought this and the other character had the opposing view. And I can see both views. That's really my goal. I want people to go, oh, I can see the other side of the table now. Whereas, too often we've got this sort of polarizing effect happening in our society when people have extreme views or are they almost confrontational, maybe scared even to invite that one person to family Thanksgiving because they could have a disagreement. And I think that's sad. And I want people to be able to come back to the art of polite conversation.
Yes. Being civilized or civil with each
civil
other.
Conversation.
Yes, absolutely. And what we can learn. It doesn't mean that I have to completely change my mind at all.
Right. Yeah.
That's not the intent, but it might happen. But the idea is to be able to share ideas and to do so in a way that is informational. But once we start shutting or just turning away and using bad language,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's a lost art, and COVID did us no favors because we weren't talking to people unless they were already super close to us, and certainly a lot of social media does us no favors because we like the pages and profiles that we like. So we're getting this siloed effect. So I think it's really important, frankly, for a functioning democracy to have open dialogue and cordial conversation around controversial topics.
Yes. And so that's what we have the opportunity to do with An Audacious Woman. We get to really, well, I think we can say, I mean, the big focus here is a contest.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. So that's
The 85-year-old protagonist, her name is Eleanor. She hosts a contest to give away her mansion because she's tired of being tied to it. She wants to travel the world and have a great time and go to destinations she's always wanted to visit, but it's held her back. It's held her back her whole life. She never wanted to inherit it. Yes, she's fortunate she did, but she decides to host a contest, and she puts out an ad in the paper. And so she gets all these responses and chooses 5 very different contestants. And so you sort of see them get to know each other and sort of the interpersonal dynamics. And they're awfully skeptical of her, and maybe they should be. And they're trying to figure out what's going on here. And you sort of see them compete for this Gilded Age mansion.
Well, of course, it's a multi-million-dollar mansion
Yes.
in New York City.
Yes.
Somewhere
Prime
near-
real estate.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a fabulous location. I mean, who wouldn't want this, right? So it kind of brings out all kinds, ages and beliefs.
Yes. And the way that you interplay, it was really so fascinating for me to just see how the characters really, the main characters, there were 5 contestants, to see how they evolved and what was the background and how that interplay occurred. I mean, that's where writing is a talent, where you have to really see these people and figure out who they are and what they're doing.
Yes, and they, they start to show their true selves too. As time goes on, the contest is 30 days long, and they come to live in this mansion for a time, and they're doing sneaky things, behind each other's backs. And it's a fun, delightful read. I don't want to make it sound like there's so many heavy topics, because there are some great topics in there, but it's delightful. And it's meant to be sort of that lightweight summertime read.
Well, I like to think of it as weaving.
Yes.
You have the light threads and the dark threads, and it all comes together for this beautiful, really it is a beautiful story. And it's really, in a way, a very quick read.
It is.
Which is wonderful for summer, wonderful for book clubs to be
Yes.
able to accomplish that. What I was thinking is just how the interplay and the evolution, you kind of feel it might be happening, but there are surprises, and
Oh, yes. And there is a cat in this book, and Tabitha is the tabby, and she leads some of the contestants into naughty little things. And, that will continue with books 2. In the second of the series, the cat will continue to lead into nuisance. It's fun.
Oh, and I did see that. So this is good. This is probably the first of a trilogy or a trilogy.
Okay, I'll take that. Trilogy it is. It's a first of 3 books, and there's a winner. That's not a spoiler. You anticipate there's a winner.
Yes.
And in the second book, that winner, you sort of get to see them live out their dream with the house and partner in different ways, and it's a story of friendship and romance, and then the third book is Eleanor, gets her wish. She gets to go and be free and have this wonderful life that she's always wanted. So you get to see her travel around the world with her beau, and it's just going to be wonderful.
I can appreciate that it will be, having experienced first an audacious woman and just seeing where this might happen. And, one of the beauties of this, and you actually alluded to it, I think it was before we were actually recording, about having an older woman, an older protagonist who has experienced life, so many of these different parts of history can come forward and be discussed in a really authentic way.
Yeah, and in fact, when I was planning the book, and that's a big part of it, doing an outline and really planning the scenes, I thought, she's lived such a long time in the U.S., in New York, in the heart of everything. And there are major events that have happened throughout her life. The civil rights movement, Vietnam War, all of these different things. Why not have her talk about them? And one of the most fun things is that, she was part of Studio 54, you find out. And so, I waffled for a while. Should I do a flashback? Use flashbacks as a device. But then I decided not to. She tells these stories to the contestants, and their responses are quite interesting.
And she says she's an open book, so that you, again, allow for that to happen. They can ask her anything, literally anything, painful as things may be to discuss. She holds true to her word. And that's an authentic part of it where, she's being so honest.
Yeah, and she's a remarkable woman, hence the name of the book, right? She's brave, beyond her time, you would say, brave. Because, when she was growing up, a woman were to do this, and you're to stay in the home, and you're not to work, and you're not to go to university. And she just bulldozed right through it. And she tried as best she could to do exactly what she wanted. And you can just see that in her spirit. She really is cheeky and flirtatious. And one of the things I love about her as a character, even though she's 85 years old, she is sexy still, And I don't think we see enough of that, because women can be sexy. Mature women can be.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And that's a great topic to pursue as well, I think, in a book club, to address that and
sort of owning it.
Yes.
Right. And I just think it's wonderful, when you do see women doing that, and they, despite their age or because of their age, they've just come to own it themselves and be audacious and authentic and really go for it.
Mm-hmm. And having lived life, going through the experiences that are there, really makes for that person. Yes, we can look at a 20-something and, all the perfect, flawless skin and perfect makeup and that sort of thing. But, below the surface, is there much that's really engaging? There might be. You can't be, just brush stroke that.
Yeah.
But generally, there's a lot of life experiences that make up for the character.
Yes. And I think you see that as, especially women mature, that life experience becomes emboldening to you, right? Mm-hmm. When I was younger, I remember people saying, oh, just be yourself. Well, when you're younger, you're trying to learn who you are.
Yes.
You're trying to figure out who yourself is. So that advice is, okay, in retrospect, you could action on that advice. But, when you're just thinking of what does that mean, I've thought a lot about what does it really mean to be audacious? What can you do? I think you should wear exactly what you want when you want. I think you should listen to advice, but don't feel required to take it. There's this notion that, somebody's giving you advice, they must know better than you. No, not necessarily. You probably know best. Take their advice, listen to it, consider it, but then do what you think is right. Buck convention. You should sort of forget about conventions sometimes. There's a lot of traditional notions out there, and if they serve you, great. If they don't, that's great too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think people, to be an audacious woman is to be brave and sometimes to care a little bit less.
Especially about what people think, because
exactly,
chances are they're not thinking that. They're just so too involved in themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Just think about yourself first and put yourself first. It's easy when we think about that, when you're taking off in an airplane, put your mask on first, right?
Yes.
But do we apply that to our everyday lives? Wow, that's a challenge to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to do that. For me, I'm a mom of 3 young children.
Yeah. Wow.
And sometimes I think, I'm not going to wait to dinner. I'm going to actually eat before they come home so that I can be the best parent. That's your putting your mask on first.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in so many different ways throughout our life, we can do that in little small ways that will really help ourselves.
Yes. So you're taking the time, and I think that's a lesson again that is within the pages of
Absolutely.
An Audacious Woman, is taking that time to realize who we are and know that we could just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and each of the characters really are discovering this alongside Eleanor, right? She's sort of the role model of the ultimate audacious woman. But you see different characters, Brooke struggling with being a younger person, coming into herself, taking bold actions in some ways and not in others. And you see another character, Kathy, where she's older, she's quite established, but she still has all of these insecurities she's working through in confidence. And so you see them in small and big ways be more audacious just by example, just by surrounding themselves with someone like Eleanor.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's wonderful to see the connections and the observations that are made. I love the way that you present how a person is feeling and they think they've accomplished something, and then it's like, little do they realize that Eleanor is thinking or one of the other characters is thinking, and I love the way that flows. It's really just a great way to have insights and move the story along.
Oh yeah, I mean everybody's got their own agenda, right?
Yeah.
All the contestants are trying to win, and so it's sort of it's sneaky little things happening here and there, and you think it's going to go one way and it goes another way. So hopefully it's sort of captivating in that way. And it's supposed to be, right? That's why people have said it's a quick read. Well, it's easy to pick up and easy to put down and quick to read, because I don't know about you, but I don't have a lot of time, right? Like that. Right. Those are the types of books I like to read if I can just pick it up for 15 minutes and put it back down, and it's not hard to follow in that way. It works for me.
Well, the chapters are really like these, in a way, self-contained, the way the story moves along. So, yes, you keep us definitely advancing in that way. And then just, in a very succinct read, bringing in so many different topics that are important conversations in our world at any time, but certainly today, being able to discuss that. We have racism,
Yes.
You mentioned Club 54, but then there's also, living through the 60s and
absolutely
the Freedom Riders at that time.
Yeah, one of the things that comes up is Eleanor's something from her past happened, right? It's something during the Civil Rights Movement. She was emboldened to help in that, and she has to kind of explain herself what happened and how did things go wrong. And it's wonderful to bring up these actual historical events with a telling that's fictional, but could have very well been the truth. And in fact, in preparing this book, I did a lot of research. And in fact, in May of 1961, there was a group that were trying to make sure and test the Supreme Court decision that segregation of bus terminals was unconstitutional. And they were doing that, and, some people got arrested and other things happened. So I really tried to stay pretty close to history in that story. And when Eleanor tells that story to the contestants, they are grappling with the ethics of what happened, of crime and punishment, thinking about the times. So it really is interesting to dip back in to her history and for the contestants to all sort of gingerly state their opinion. And most of the time, they're pretty cordial about it, which is a nice representation of, I think, how conversations should go. but sometimes it gets a bit dicey.
Absolutely. And for us, then, we can use that as a launching platform to discuss something that's going on within our own community, neighborhood, state, that sort of thing, or the world. But yeah, that's the opportunity, again, that we have with story, is making it personal.
Exactly. And a story like that in a fiction book can bring about really lovely conversations around race and what's happening today, and how, your point of view and how you can participate or not participate, or, this topic's close to my heart. My husband is half Black, and I have babies of various shades. Genetics are funny like that. And so I've definitely thought about that quite a bit.
Sure. Well, yes, that's another reason. And I think we live in an area where that is perhaps more common and well, painfully not as embracing as I would have thought. I would have thought that we had made more advancements. I thought 20 years ago, we were making strides, and it is painful to see that some of it feels regressive, but maybe in order to advance, we still take some of those steps.
Yeah, the pendulum swings back and forth, and I think that, these days with so much media out there to consume, it kind of can feel overwhelming for a time, and that's part of the reason I wanted to write a fun fiction novel. For me, reading can be an escape.
Yes.
And it's sort of a delightful thing to have as a pastime because it's so portable. And even now, a lot of my mom friends, they listen on Audible or iTunes or something like that, and to read their books. And
so this is available, I understand, as an audiobook.
Yes. And I've been surprised. I wanted to launch in all formats. So we've got paper book, ebook, and audiobook out there.
And so we should mention, that's the important part here, is the availability of the book.
Yeah. You can get it online. If you head to audaciousbook.com, you can learn more about it and see all the resources of where you buy it.
Right. And whatever format works. Certainly, yes. Audiobooks are great because my husband and I commute some of the days of the week in the car. So we love to listen to, there are certain books we choose and we listen together. So you can do it that way. Or you're off walking or...
Exactly. I love listening to a book while walking. I think that's one of the wonderful things. You're enjoying nature while also stimulating your mind.
Yes, exactly. So that is all really great. We mentioned the website, so audaciousbook.com.
That's right. That's right. And you can also follow me on Instagram if you'd like to have a little sneak peek of books 2 and 3. And so it's Corinne Cavanaugh, so CORINNECAVA on Instagram, and we can become friends there.
Sounds like a great plan. And then we know by doing that when the book is actually out.
Exactly. So,
although, what's your projection?
So An Audacious Woman is available now, and An Audacious Partnership is coming November 1st. And you can actually pre-order on Amazon right now.
Well, we should make a date, actually.
We should.
For November-ish.
Oh, I would love that.
So that we can then discuss the new book.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be exciting. And, the timing is so great because, of course, thinking of books, gift giving, the whole December season of different holidays that are really focused toward gifting. And I can't think of anything better than a book. A book is great.
Yeah. I love books as gifts.
I do too. Even if, I do that with my grandnieces and nephews and with my brother and sister-in-law. And the thing is, I then am finding things that I think would be great for them. They may decide to take it back. But I think there's a way to kind of just really share a part of ourselves, really engage them.
Absolutely. And you can have delightful conversations about the same book. It's sort of a conversation starter.
Exactly.
Between people.
Yeah. So we have that to look forward to, Corinne.
Oh, thanks. Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Wonderful. So any other things that we really should mention about An Audacious Woman? I think we've covered a lot of territory here.
I think we have. I just want to encourage people that it's sort of a lightweight thing. It should bring you joy, and it's perfect for a book club. And I hope that it inspires empathy and understanding of different points of view.
So you're here in the Puget Sound area, which is big for book clubs. There are a lot of book groups in our area. Do you ever do any connection on Zoom connections to do a book club meet?
Yeah. I'm a part of a couple of book clubs, but I'd be open to that. I would love to host a book club if anybody would like to take me up on that.
And I guess that would happen. I was thinking that perhaps there is a book club that's reading the book. You would have a guest appearance and maybe answer some questions.
I would love that. Yeah. In fact, I have a couple of gals who have pitched me to their book clubs to come as a guest. And I haven't done one yet, but I'd be honored to do that, especially since we're right here in the Northwest.
Yes, right in this area. So something to think about, right?
Okay, yeah.
We'll
I love that. I love that. If you're interested, message me about it on Instagram. Okay.
Wonderful. Well, Corinne Cavanaugh, this has been really so fun and interesting and inspiring for just so many things to think about, but we'll come back to that word joy as well. This should bring you joy, and I feel that it does. I really did appreciate the read myself, and I feel really excited looking forward to the next one.
Well, thank you, Kate. I'm excited too.
That brings us to the end of a very full hour of Inspirational Women with Corinne Cavanaugh and Sunday Morning Magazine with Alicia Dunhams. I'm Kate Daniels, your host, and I greatly appreciate your sharing this hour with me and these special guests. For details you might have missed or information you'd like to know, please just send me an email, kated@warm1069.com, and I will get right back to you. Also, if you'd like to listen again or to share these important stories with your family and friends, find the podcast on our Warm 1069 webpage. Just click on the Listen tab, then Podcasts, then either of the show names, and then look for the guest names. I now wish you and your family a day of meaningful and respectful conversation. Have a week of the same, and then please plan to join me again next weekend for another hour of Sunday Morning Magazine and Inspirational Women on Warm 1069. Good morning.